Hello, ADD fam. Back in the building, the crazy bitch himself. Most notably, craziest fucker around, craziest dude in ATL that I know of, anyways. And if you know anybody as crazy as me, please introduce us. Get us in contact with one another. So, anyway, on for today's discussion. I messed up 2 videos. One, I ended on accident because I'm a dumbass and I don't clean my phone out like I should. Got all kind of bullshit in there, old pictures, whatever. So I had to delete a lot of shit. It got to where I'll be doing a video and it'll just cut off. So I had to clean up a lot of shit to do another video. I just did one and come to find out it didn't record. So I ended one video shorter than I would have per se, and another one I ended a video because my wife called in, and both of them happened to be leaving off on the same note, talking about the same shit. So I was talking about my boy DZ and all the troubles that's come with him and that he's been through and still going through. So roughly 3 years ago now, I start messing with DZ. Maybe 4 years ago now. We've been friends and dealing with each other off and on for 20 years, right? But he's one of those guys that I'll hang out with for a year or so, and then we'll split apart. I got a lot of friends like that. You know, I can only take so much of them. So, me and Daisy have always been an on-again, off-again friendship, relationship. I have this kind of thing with a lot of people, especially when it comes to the drugs. So, like I said, DZ's been one of my boys, one of my drug buddies for over 20 years now, going on 25 years. So we've been through all kind of shit together. So back about 3+ years ago, he's been hot for a long time. I can't even tell you how long. Many, many years. 5, 10, 15-ish. He's always sold dope as long as I've known him. He used to sell pills. He was that guy that would run around to all these pill mills, get other people's scripts on top of getting his own scripts. DZ was that guy. I've been going to DZ for pills way before I ever even got on heroin. So, about 3+ years ago, 4 years ago now, he's real hot, right? Like I said, he just got busted again here recently. About 3+ years ago, we were kicking it again. And so he's hot, right? He's being watched. For sure, this isn't just a paranoia, a maybe thing. This is a for sure thing. So, DZ's being watched and followed, like always. And this is one of those days that I just decided to bail out on him, right? We were, like I said, on again, off again friendship. Truthfully, he'd scare the shit out of me, right? He was always doing shit that, would get you laying in prison and or dead. More so laying in prison. He's just a dangerous person, all in general. So, I had just gotten done doing dealings with DZ on the specific afternoon. And we hook up and we do our little deal. And I go on about my business. And he's telling me, yeah, come on, always enticing me to stay around and keep him around, right? Drive for him, this kind of shit. And there's times that I just know in the bottom of my gut that I need to get away. This is one of those times in those days. We're running around doing dealings together. I get my shit, I get my heroin, and I bolt. And he wants me to still do this stuff. but I say I gotta go and make up some bullshit excuse. Something about my wife. My wife don't like him. He knows that. So I get away from him. That afternoon, he gets popped in the McDonald's drive-thru. Yes, in the fucking drive-thru. He's sitting in the drive-thru ordering food, and he's got meth in his lap, and he's in a passenger seat. He's not even driving. He's being watched, even with the people he's riding around with. He's being watched and followed. So they get him in the McDonald's drive-thru. He's got meth in his lap, and they get him. They pull him out of the car, drag him out of the car, bust him for the ice, and so off to jail he goes. Gets out in no time. Always does. Daisy's one of those guys that has always been in all kind of shit, into everything. Drugs, guns, jewelry, you name it. And he's got, friends in all kind of high and low places. So he knows all kind of guys into all kind of different shit. He's got buddies that are lawyers. He's got buddies that are, anything you can think of, from mechanics to welders to, just one of these really resourceful person. He's always in the street, so he's always meeting all hellacious amount of people all the time. He's always been like that. So he's got friends that are lawyers. He's got friends that do this, can do that, etc., etc. He's got pretty much somebody for everything, right? So somehow he gets right out of jail. Another one of these crazy deals, how he's in jail and he's out within a few days, and he's telling me about how he was in the jail. Him and Wes were in there. I think it was Wes. I think it was this time that him and Wes were in there together. It may not have been Wes. Him and somebody was in there together, and whoever he was in there with was crying and complaining, and was dope sick. But he said he come out of the pod, come out of his room. He just couldn't sit around any longer. And he's talking to people. He's all the time meeting guys in jail and prison, right? Another one of these kind of guys. So he meets a couple more guys, a couple more dudes he fools with, and gets out. Other person doesn't get out as soon. And I can't remember who it is at the top of my head, but I'll let you know at a later time. So like I said, he gets raided just sitting in a McDonald's driveway, in a drive-thru. He's not even in his house. So this is how hot he is. So some time goes on, and then I'm going to tell you something that I really hope that he don't ever hear this. There's a good chance he can hear this, and there's a good chance that he may never will. There's a good chance that one of our friends and associates will see this. There's a good chance they never will. I only have 107 subscribers now, so I'm not no big deal by any means. And so I talked to Deezy a couple of days ago and asked him if he had seen any of the videos, and he said no, he hadn't gotten around to it, but he'll get around to it. I said, oh, okay, which let me know, he don't give two fucks, right? If he's not making money off it, or it's not better than him in some way, then he don't give two shits about it, right? He's always been that way about everything. If he can't make $1 off of it, he don't want it. Fuck it. It's a waste of time and money to him. So odds are he'll never hear this, what I'm fixing to say. So this is the time when like I said, this is right around the time and right before and at the time of we're doing that job that I said we were on for 6 months together. So I'm looking at like 2.5 to 3 years now ago. And Jason, I told you who Jason is. He's Tony's brother. And I'm coming over there every morning and picking these guys up for work. This is in that time frame, the beginning of that. Now that I think back to it. So Jason is also, when I said that there was these guys that just coincidentally this guy that I met, whose dad was the coach for the Little League, Major League World Series, Little League World Series that I talked about. This organization I played for that wound up on TV playing the Little League World Series. The guy's dad, the son of the father who was the coach at Little League, the son who I met, it was Jason's friend. I couldn't remember Jason's name when I told the story. It was Tony's brother, who's Jason's friend was that guy's father was the coach. When we brought it up and that little story came about, was in DZ's driveway, that kid started crying, right? So that was Jason, just so you can start to have names and faces with these. Jason's about my height, little short dude, little. I'm about 158 and I'm a little overweight. I walk around healthy at about 135, 140. I'm at 158 right now. I'm a little heavy, a little fat. Jason walks around at about 130 all the time, right? I don't know if he ever puts any weight on because, like I say, he's one of these major drug dudes, right? The only time he's not doing drugs is when he's in jail. And so this is kind of how he is, right? He's another one of these kind of loafers, couch surfer, never has a license, rarely ever has a vehicle, rarely has a full-time job. Just one of these guys that when a job comes around, he goes to work. But for the most part, he's just one of these tinkers, guys that tinker. They tinker on this and that. They help people, and they run around all day, and they do and make just enough to get high to sustain their habit. Jason is one of these dudes. So I'm with Jason a lot now. I'm with Jason, and me and Jason are together a lot, and we're going and picking up the other guy, the nasty guy, the guy that didn't shower, the guy that I said didn't shower and had spent 8 months in jail, and that was the guy who's one of his best friends was my buddy Mike in the hotel, and his other best friend was the one that got murdered. That guy is Lamar. The guy that was murdered is Lamar. The guy that I'm talking about is Dustin. Me and Jason are going and picking up Dustin like several times a week, and we're doing dope deals, and he's working with us too. And in these times, we're going and picking up Jason. And me and Jason are alone, and we are just going to pick up, what's his name? Dustin. And Jason tells me, dude, you remember Travis? Was it Travis or Trevor? Okay, either one, Travis or Trevor. Back up prior 6 months to a year, I was hanging out with DZ, and then I quit hanging out with him for a minute and went off and was using another drug dealers. Well, there was this blonde-haired guy, this tall blonde-haired guy, and he had a van, right? This tall blonde-headed guy, a friend of DZ's, had gotten a bunch of weed from California. That's how I remember good bits about him. He had some really killer weed, and I got some weed one night, and so this is one of DZ's friends, Travis or Trevor, tall guy, blonde hair, does ice all the time, does heroin, sells a little of each other, whatever, to get by, but mainly just personal, right? DZ sets this guy up, sets up Trevor Travis, whatever his real name is, sets him up, throws him under the bus. Travis Trevor goes off to prison with DZ's dope, with dope he planted on him. Yeah. So, I don't have to say a whole lot more to fill in the blanks on that, but this is another one of these, please don't let this be you. Don't think that your buddy you're riding with and you're kicking it with every day, don't think he's got your best interest at heart, because because I can show you and prove to you. If he's on drugs, if he sells drugs, if he's about that life, he will throw you under the bus. He will use you to keep his own sorry ass out of trouble and out of jail and out of prison. Yes, this guy was good friends with DZ. DZ took his own dope and set this guy up, and this guy went to prison from DZ's dope because DZ had to give somebody. So he planted dope on this guy to where this guy had enough dope to where he got caught and literally went to prison because DZ had to throw somebody under the bus. And Jason's telling me this, and he's telling me, dude, you can never say this to nobody. And there again, I'm being a dumbass. I shouldn't be saying this now, but 9.9 of you guys, 9 out of 10, 9.9 out of 10 will never know these people, meet these people. It's very rare that any of them will ever come on here and watch these videos. It's not likely that this will get back to the people that I don't want me here know that I'm saying this shit about them, because really, I'm out of it, so it's not gonna affect me one way or another. At this point, I'm trying to tell my story and the shit I know about and been through and seen. DZ had to have a fall guy, and they were tight. This guy was just like me, driving him all over town, running errands, doing his dirt, all that. And he threw his own, and they've been friends as long, if not longer than me. And Jason tells me, dude, I know you're a good dude, Mike, because every day I was coming over there, and more days than not, Jason would be sick or his belly would hurt. If he didn't have any dope, he wasn't going to work, right? But he knew I was going to work every day. I was over there every morning, 7, 8 in the morning. You're either coming to work, you're not, but I'm going to work. So this is all Jason knew of me, right? And we hadn't known each other that long. And he's telling me, dude, Mike, I know you're a good guy. I know you got a wife and kids. I see that you work, you keep a vehicle up. I know you're a good dude. I want you to know this for your own benefit, man. You know what I'm saying? I said, yeah, I know what you're saying. I appreciate that, bro. I never let that leave my think tank. I held on to that one tight. At that day, from that day forward, there was many a days that I was still doing dirt and doing shit with DZ, but I was a lot more cautious. There were a lot of times I would get myself out of the equation. Beforehand, I would have, yeah, no problems. Nah, no, I don't want to go this time. No, I gotta be home. No, Christy's getting mad. No, she wants the car. Just making up excuses. Why now all of a sudden I can't do this, I can't. And like I said, we were on this job together, so we're hanging out every day together. And I had to back off, because if I hadn't already assumed it before, now I know it. You know what I'm saying? Now I know he's a dirtbag, right? He'd throw his own whoever. Nobody is safe around him. You can bet your sweet ass we're riding down the road and he's got a bag of heroin, a bag of meth, and we get pulled over, that shit's going underneath the seat. And whoever gets caught with it gets caught with it. Guarantee this nigga's not gonna say it's mine. Guarantee it. Before I ever shot dope, DZ shot dope way long time ago, before I ever even do it. Back when I just snorted shit. I used to snort heroin many, many years ago. I'm going back 15 to 20 years ago. At the beginning of this, I did heroin, I quit, I went to pills, I went to jail, I got out, went back to pills, a little bit of heroin, pills, a little bit of heroin. It wasn't until much later on, a few years, 4 or 5 years ago now, to when I got on the needle, right? I had snorted heroin and pills for many, many years before I ever got really, really that bad off where I had to have it and couldn't go to work. I wasn't like that whole time I was using. I went 5 to 10 years with just a variety of pills, right? It was all kind of opiates. My mother-in-law died of cancer, like I've told the story. She kept me fed with drugs for many years. I didn't have to buy anything. She had Norcos, morphine pills, morphine liquid. And I told the story, she had fentanyl nose spray before it was even FDA approved. So I always had plenty of dope. It wasn't until 5 years ago where I got strung out on the needle. But back in these days, I used to run with DZ, and he was my pill guy, he was my heroin guy, all that, right? He introduced me to Manny, he introduced me to a bunch of different people. I met Smooth through him, this big drug dealer. Met a lot of people through him that I could get dope. He never wanted it to turn me on. He always wanted to make $1 off me. So I would, he didn't give me these people. I'd have to go behind him. How I got Smooth is he had to use my phone because his phone was off, and he's using my phone, and so I keep the number, and I call and I text Smooth after dealing with him for like 6 months, where I'm going and having to take DZ to meet him every day. I finally got sick of it and just got his number out of DZ's phone and told him who I was, and that guy in the silver truck, and I needed to start dealing with him, or I'd have to go elsewhere. So he allowed me to deal straight with him. DZ got mad, but I didn't care. So anyways, way back when I was doing heroin quite a while ago, I'm going back 15 years ago at least, and I'm taking DZ down to the Bluffs. If you don't know what the Bluffs is, it's a place in Atlanta that there's 2 ways in, 2 ways out, and there's just a bunch of roads going this way and that way, right? Real dangerous. Like, you'll be going down every other street, and if you can see cops, for miles, you come to an intersection, you could see a cop. He could be 3 or 4 roads over. And if he sees you, he'll come around a corner, whatever. It's like a puzzle, like a maze in there, right? But if a cop sees you, you're fucked, right? White person gets pulled over for just being in the Bluffs. It's like 3 mile square radius, right? With a whole bunch of streets in between. Imagine a whole bunch of square blocks and stuff, and every second or third, every light, every stop sign you come to, you could see a cop going down the other roads. And if they see you, you're fucked, right? So it's very dangerous for a white person to go through there, but we did every day. Like I said, there was days I just did stupid shit, didn't care. One of these days we're down in the Bluffs. It's a Friday at 5, 6 o'clock. And DZ, we just hook up with this guy, and we just get these bags, these balloons of hair on, and we take off, and DZ says, "Stop." I said, "What? What do you... No, hell no." He said, "Dude, stop now." So I dropped my shit. "You gotta stop. If we get pulled over, we're fucked." "No, stop." He made me stop the car in the middle of the Bluffs, and he's got the door open, and he's digging in the seats. My heart's pounding, right? It's 5 o'clock on fucking Friday. This is like, what would you call, prime hours, like, for the cops. This is like their lunch. If you're like a restaurant, you had prime times or whatever, lunch, dinner, whatever. This is cops' lunch hour, right? This is like prime pick off the dope, the junkies. It's like prime picking off junkies hour, right? Anytime Friday from 5 till 3, 4 in the morning. You don't want to be caught in this vicinity. You're white driving through there, cop sees you, and there's tons of cops in and out of there, in and out of the whole area. Like I said, it's well known. You look it up, the Bluffs. It's like, it's enormously known that it's the heroin kingpin, the heroin spot of Atlanta. So it's so hot. And this fuck's in the middle of the ghetto with the door open, digging in my seats and my floorboards, and my heart is pounding. And I'm seeing cops like 2-3 roads over. It's only a matter of seconds before they're on my ass, and we're fucked. Just gets the dope in the nick of time, and he gets back in the car, and I stomp it, and I just get out of there once again. Pins and needles. I just get out of there. Another 13, 15 seconds. I could see the cops going back and forth across the fucking streets. It was not going to be another few seconds, and I'm still standing there, and I'm fucked. He gets it at the last second, and I go, and as I go, a cop goes right behind us, comes to the stop sign, and goes, stops a second until he's checking us out. By this time, we're moving, and goes. If I would have still been sat there and stood still, he'd have rolled up on me. As I was just starting to go, the cop comes behind me and stops the stop sign, pretty much looking at me, and goes really slow by. Another split second, another 5-10 seconds, if I'd have been standing there with this fuck sitting out of the car looking crazy, digging under my seat, we'd both been going to prison. We'd have both been going to jail. This ain't the only time he's pulled this shit with me. So, like I said, these are the days we were going to the Bluffs. We was all the time going down there, taking huge risks to get dope. Dumbasses. I was, probably in my late 20s. And so, I had this Toyota Corolla. I'm picking DZ up. DZ's my main plug. If I can't get no pills, or I can't get no heroin around town, I'm going with DZ down to the Bluffs. Gets in my car. I haven't seen DZ in a month now. It's been a whole fucking month. I haven't seen this fuck bag. Gets in my car, lifts down my fucking visor, and pulls out a fucking needle out of my fucking visor that my fucking wife and kids been riding around in this car for a month. This piece of shit had fucking dirty needles hidden in my fucking car, right up underneath of me. I could have been pulled over. My wife drove the car. She could have been pulled over. I'm riding around with dirty needles for a month. He goes in there and pulls out a fucking needle. And another time was a crack pipe. He had a crack pipe hidden in my fucking my dashboard. This piece of shit hid crack pipes, hid fucking dope, hid his needles in my car, and left it there. Is this the type of people you really want to entrust your fucking lives with? Fuck no. Like I've said time and time again, this is the shit that, besides ODing, this is another one of the huge reasons and factors of why I quit. Why I ride solo dolo and always have. Because all the other guys I know that do dope like I did it, and they're constantly going to jail. I go to jail, yeah, but not as much as they do, and not on the... Mine's dumb shit, like fighting with my family and kids and shit like that 9 times out of 10. Theirs is getting caught with dope. I've never been that just complete. Even in my worst addictions, I still had a little better sense than most of these guys. I still hid and did my shit on the dolo solo and stayed out of prison. None of the other guys that I talk about have. Every single one of them's been to prison, is on their way to prison, has a rap sheet a mile long, don't have a driver's license, will never have a pot to piss in, and these guys make money. DZ back in this time frame, DZ was making one transaction a week. One meth transaction a week and making $1,800. Whatever it was, I didn't want to know. I didn't care to know. All I knew is this nigga was making $1,800. All I had to do was go to one house and take him to another. That was it. $1,800. Do you imagine how much dope it was? I told him I did not want to know. but there was many a days that it was in my car. Imagine how much dope that was. What kind of risks were being taken there to make 8. Meth is cheap and garbage, right? Let's be real. How much meth do you think you have to sell to be able to make $1,800 profit over and above selling it to somebody? You've got to be dealing in weight, like the kind of shit that'll put your ass under the fucking jail and prison. And I used to ride around with these fuckers. I was the dumbass. You could be the dumbass. Your friend, son, whatever, can be the next dumbass. I've told you all the stories, and I'll continue to tell you the stories. These are just some of the worst of the worst. I haven't even got into what my daily life was like. That was the daily life like. Every day driving through the hood, taking risks and chances. Every day meeting drug dealers that are hot, on fire hot. Please hear me. Please, somebody tell your friend, someone you care about that's fallen victim to this, because I know a lot of guys are still involved, still do this shit to the day. Like I said, my boys just got busted 3 weeks ago. I tried calling Luau, and I'm gonna try calling again. But these are the stories. Yeah, you ever heard any shit like that? Guys putting dirty needles and crack pipes in other people's cars and not even telling them about it, and letting their wife and kids ride around with this shit. Do you imagine? Do you imagine if my wife would have known that? That one's about left me speechless. About speechless on it. I'll catch you on the next one. Ha ha! Stay ADD, bitches.